Voyage! Of the Damned. Oh. Hi everyone. Welcome back to Doctor Who Review. I'm Chris.
I'm not Chris.
Video podcast thing, kind of, put it in a tab and listen along, basically. Where we visited every televised and then archived at the time of recording and released on home media Doctor Who story from 1963 through to 2007. It's Christmas Day.
Oh, Merry Christmas!
I mean, it's just have been Christmas Day when these guys are watching this, but it's Christmas Day 2007. Oh, we've got mince pies on our Gordon Brown commemorative plates, and I'm trying to put them in 2007.
Oh,
and Netflix is not a thing in the UK yet, but in the States people are renting DVDs off of them in the mail, and the iPhone's here, but it's not good yet, and other things.
What?
2007, boys and girls.
What is happening?
What a treat. And we are treated to our third consecutive Doctor Who Christmas special, the Russell T Davies era, starring David Tennant as the 10th Doctor, Voyage of the Damned, which we'll get into in a minute. I think this is one of the most underrated Christmas specials of the entire run. I think this is so good. There's only like two things I don't like about this one, and we'll get to them, but the rest of it, I freaking adore it. Now, you might be thinking, that's a pretty barren table compared to what you normally have. You normally fill the frame. And you would be right, sir or madame. That's because, as you can see, we always have a Doctor on for the seasons. We always have a Doctor on screen. We've got Tennant here in his tux. This is the last time the tux figure will be making an appearance. This is the last time the tux makes an appearance.
Really?
I don't recall it appearing in Series 4 at all.
What about...
Yeah, Rise the Cybermen. No. Rise the Cybermen, Lazarus Experiment, and Voyage of the Damned. But he's all alone. There's no one here beside him, except last Christmas. A whole year ago for you lot. For us, it was just over 4 months ago. Last Christmas, my beautiful wife, not Chris, got me a naughty novelty present. And she said, well, it's an investment. Because we'd had a chat very sneakily a little while before where you said, which companion figures haven't you got? I was like, oh, well, technically I've not got the Clara, but it's just the Oswald in a different dress, so what's the point? And I'd recently got a Bill, or an As-Bill. I was like, the only one I've not got is Astrid. Because she came out for a limited run, and she also was part of a Voyage of the Damned set with two angels and the Doctor in his, correct me if I'm wrong, figure collectors, in his brown suit and coat. And you're like, well, that's completely inaccurate. But yeah, so I never got hold of Astrid. Always wanted an Astrid. And then on Christmas Day, a parcel came in a very distinct, unmistakable clamshell box shape. So I've got an Astrid Peth! Wee! Little Kylie! Little birdie. That's for you. So we're going to open Astrid while we talk, and also pull out a little bit of a Gelf, which you can get a cream for, I've heard, but that's fine. That's one of the downsides. There's this Build-A-Figure waves they did. They did a couple. They did one where you could build the Gelf, and they did one where you could build the Vespiform, so basically a giant bloody wasp. But there's no figure list on the back to show you which figures are in the set. You just have to kind of find them. It's really weird. So,
oh my god, the Gelf, that looks scary.
It's creepy, isn't it? So while we chat, I'm going to open it up. Just a bit of blue trail, yeah.
I was going to say, have you got a bit of a torso? Because that's horrifying.
No torso, but instead a synopsis. Basically what happens in the story. What's going on? Tell the people. Wave to the people. Blow them kisses.
I'm not going to blow you kisses because we're in a pandemic.
Well, we might not be by the time this is...
Oh my god, imagine that.
That's weird, isn't it?
Anyway,
Ooh, Astrid!
So...
I'm not going to use a knife, so many people will be so annoyed. I'm opening... Sorry, just before we begin, I'm opening... this will be 2008, 2009 this figure came out, so I'm opening a figure that for over a decade has been in its plastic shell. I shall liberate ye, little Kylie. Sorry, go ahead.
Excited.
I'm very excited. This is my first new non-repainted B&M nonsense Doctor Who figure in forever, and it's also in the old packaging, so this is very nostalgic.
So the Doctor is in the TARDIS. So we've seen this 3 times now.
Yeah, this is the thrice.
Something crashes into the TARDIS. We didn't mention it in the time crash video.
Oh yeah, the 5th Doctor says, "Don't forget to put your shields up," which is why the 2 TARDISes collide in the vortex in the first place.
And the bloody Titanic crashes into the flipping TARDIS. And the Doctor's like, what? What?
Except that was a fake out. That was a bit of TV clickbait, because it ain't the Titanic.
No.
It's a Titanic.
It is a space cruise liner named Titanic, which I think was probably not the greatest idea.
Well, I love that, because he says, he says, why is it called the Titanic? Well, it's Earth's most famous sailing vessel. Did anyone check why? No one's checked why. Oh, just put that there.
Awkward.
So go on. Where are they from? Do you have it on the thing? What the planet is that they're all from? Because they've come from a specific place. Oh, is it Stowe? Is that what it's called?
No, that's in Gloucestershire.
You bugger.
Stowe, yeah.
Oh, is that a pun then? Because he's a stow away.
Stowe.
That's
a weird pun.
Yeah, well, it's kind of fun. So the planet Stowe, it's a luxury cruise liner from a world somewhere else in the galaxy.
Yeah.
That has a big blue Gelf tail. Put that back there.
You're right there.
Nope. So, so it's a cruise line named after a famous Earth vessel, which is touring sort of the outskirts of Earth with the option for a quick pop down.
Well, it's going to different planets, and Earth is having a celebration, which they are, not replicating, but they are celebrating as well.
Yeah, and there's sort of traits of it, the music and some of the decorations, and it happens to be, as the voiceover on the ship says at the beginning, which is brilliant, and I remember this being such a nice touch on the day when it went out. Welcome to Christmas. And you're just like, yeah, because it's Christmas Day, 2007. Why not? Many Christmas. This is the first one I didn't watch with family out of the 3. It was me and Toby in Toby's room went to watch it because our parents weren't fussed about watching it, and they had people around for Christmas, and we felt rude turning the telly on in the living room to watch it, so we went to watch it. This tiny little TV video combi.
I don't believe you. Don't go in the bag, you idiot. Good grief!
Is she walking into a bag?
God.
You saw it first, folks. The dog nearly got lost in a bag of wool.
Bloody hell.
Oh,
what's
dear.
the matter with you, silly
Well, don't
dog?
worry, she's not going to suffocate. She's going to die of embarrassment instead.
Silly dog. No! Get out of the bag!
She's trying to get in it.
What's the matter with you?
Look, Minnie, I know it's not everyone's favourite Christmas special, but I think you'll find if you stick around, we have a lot of reasons as to why it's one of the best ones.
So the Doctor's they're enjoying the festivities.
Well, after he sort of briefly reverses time somehow on the TARDIS. Well, because he winds a thing and it backs away off of the front of the ship, and the walls fold back in.
I don't know.
At the very beginning. How else do you think he gets it off the front of the ship?
I never thought about it. He just does the Doctor thing.
That's nonsense. Well,
he does.
It's possible that he restores the shields or whatever.
The polarity of the neutron.
Because of course it's crashed through a blue box externally, but internally it's crashed into the pocket dimension where the interior of the TARDIS is. So.
Yeah, so... Oh dear, that could have gone disastrously wrong.
Horribly wrong.
What if it had all, leaked out of the TARDIS?
Spilled all over Fleur.
Yeah, sure. This is a shambles of a review.
Say the plot! What? So the touring...
So the Doctor... Yeah,
she got thigh joints, yep. Oh! So I've just checked to see if she got thigh joints, because whenever I get a new toy, I always give them a little... No, I always give them a little move, as you know, so the joints aren't too stiff and they're not broken or whatever.
I love her boots.
I've just looked for a skirt to see if she's got thigh joints. Not only does she have thigh joints, She's got frilly knickers.
Has she actually?
She's got big black frilly knickers on.
Oh my god.
They've sculpted frilly knickers onto this tiny Kylie Minogue.
Oh my god, they actually have. Like a little can-can dancer. Oh my gosh, that's well cool.
I love that you're looking up the skirt and now you're spending more time than anyone has ever looked up the skirt of this toy. Welcome out of your box, dear Astrid Peth. Now this woman's going to ogle you for 10 minutes. So yeah, who else is on next? It's the rich and the elite, and it's a cruise line that is funded by Max Capricorn. We know that because his face is all over the bloody screens.
Yeah, there's little adverts for the...
Complete with his ding on his tooth.
Gross.
Who plays Max Capricorn, actually? Because he's bloody good. He's the right level of slimy in those videos.
Max Capricorn.
We say man.
He's
Man's played by Max. Max Capricorn plays man.
George Costigan.
He's great.
He's very good.
He's not in the show for very long, and he leaves an impression. Who are the other passengers? Who have we got?
So we have
a wonderful couple played by Clive Rowe and
Debbie.
Debbie begins with M, right?
No.
No, go on. What's her name?
Shazan.
Debbie Shazan. Okay, yes. Who I knew from I think it was Titty Bang Bang on BBC Three. She was in a lot of sketch comedies in the 2000s.
Well, they play Foon Van Hoff and Morvin Van Hoff, who are two people that won a competition to have a holiday on this cruise liner. Oh god, I'm sorry. A holiday on this cruise liner. So they're treated different from everybody else because
it's really
everybody
harsh.
else is like, you should be in steerage.
Yeah, which is a really odd term. I've never heard that before. Is that a real term?
Steerage. Yeah.
So basically just like getting to coach, essentially. Oh.
That's like lower than coach. That's like travelling in the luggage bay.
That's what I thought. I was like, is that a new term? Or else that's a real term. What a nasty bunch of pasties.
Yeah. So think of you've seen.
But they're having fun. They're indulging. They're enjoying the buffet, eating the buffalo wings, an earth delicacy, and they're wondering
how big
the buffalo must be for them to have so many wings. It's just such a great little joke. Dr. Tuck's in.
It's one of the first times you see... Well, no, not one of the first times, but one of the only times you ever see him eating, isn't it? Yeah,
there's also one of the few times we sort of see him just indulging in the culture in the modern series. You've not seen him do that really in a while. He's just like, yeah, here we go. I'm just going to... Why not?
Funny. It's
he treats himself.
He sits down at the table with the Van Hoffs.
Yeah, it really is the first time we see him just... This is what he's like without a companion.
Yeah.
Like, he's just, I'm here. May as well check it out and enjoy it a bit, and then I'll move on. Because obviously the last time we saw that, he was investigating something in the hospital. So he was up to something. He was up to a shenanigan. But yeah, sorry, so go on. So he
sat chatting and you can hear the table behind them, laughing. And
what's Clive Rowe's character called again, sorry?
Morvin.
Like Marvin.
Yeah.
Morvin the Martian.
And the doctor gets his sonic screwdriver out and does a sneaky little manoeuvre which makes a champagne bottle explode all over these people, which is quite funny.
That was very fun. I like you. It was just like, I like you. It was like, yeah, I do too. Oh, great guy.
And then we've got...
we meet Thingy Slade. What's his name?
Who? Oh, Rixton Slade.
Rixton Slade, who is clearly taking a lot of very important businessy phone calls, saying he's not on holiday whilst he's got his phone on him.
Yeah, he's
making deals and...
like Wolf of Wall Street, what are they called? Like...
Brokers?
They deal with, like,
money?
Shares and things like that.
Who's he played by?
Because he goes...
Because he's great.
Do what I say and sell.
Yeah.
It's like, God, the most stereotypical thing you could say.
But he revels in it. Who's the name of the actor?
Gray O'Brien.
Gray O'Brien. I remember him from Corrie back in the day. He was great in that. So that was...
I have never seen it.
You've never seen any soap?
No, it's true.
Except for a few minutes of EastEnders in Dimensions in Time.
And Dove.
Oh dear.
We also...
Oh dear.
So he is a douche.
Yeah.
And we also meet Banakafalata.
Banakafalata, Jimmy V returning in another role.
Yeah, and I'm kind of sad that he's like the only alien that you see, really.
Well, the idea is that Stowe seems to be a very humanoid. It's a very humanoid planet. But there's an implication that there are, different types of folk. Like they've interacted with other worlds. Because there is a whole, as we learn later on, there's a cyborg community like who are shunned, who travel mostly in caravans and keep to themselves. And Banaka Flatter's, by extension, part of that community. Because, we learn that he's part cyborg, but he's also a small, red, spiky gentleman.
He is.
Who
refers to himself in the third person.
Yeah. And we meet Mr. Copper, who's the tour guide for the very brief teleports down to Earth.
Yep.
Who got his degree in Earthonomics, which we learned later on he got from like a sort of makeshift academy and laundrette business.
Yeah.
So he's blagged his way into working. And the idea is he's always wanted to do something that he enjoys, and he's got to retirement age, and he's got no money, and he's still not having a good time, and this is him scraping by, hoping he's not going to get caught out.
Yeah.
And he's played by Clive
Swift,
who we last saw as Jobel in Revelation of the Daleks. And he was great as a slimy villain in that, and he's great as a sort of very befuddled, lovable character in this as well. Mr. Copper's a really nice sort of...
Befuddled, that's a good word.
Yeah, a really nice addition. But, first off, we meet one of the wait staff, who came from Stowe, Astrid Peth, played by the tiny Kylie Minogue. Actual size, by the way. Real size.
Yeah. I mean, welcome, Kylie. It's nice to see you. It's nice to meet you. Can we get you a thimble of tea?
She's very tiny.
Oldie!
And Lou's being attacked by the dog.
God! Like
What a
every
winner.
episode! God's sake!
So, Astrid works on the ship. She's sort of...
She's like a stewardess.
Let's not beat around the bush here. It's textbook companion introduction.
Yeah.
These two interact. He sees that she's quite savvy and clearly loves the idea of exploration. Twigs sneaks her a teleporter for when they go down to the surface and explore Earth, and she's like, Kylie Minogue. I'm doing the avid Merriam-blooded joke already. Kylie Minogue is excellent in this, and she and David completely sell you on the fact that this should be the next companion.
Yeah.
And that is done on purpose to twist the knife later on and really mess with you.
Yeah.
But yeah, she's wonderful. I mean, there's a scene where they pop down to Earth on Christmas Eve, and it's a quiet street, and there's no bugger around at all, and she plays it like she's just been dropped in front of the pyramids for the first time.
Yeah.
Like, she is amazed by everything, and he can clearly see that lust for life in her, and obviously later in the story it's like, yeah, you can absolutely come with me if we get my ship. Why is it abandoned? Why is there no one shopping on Christmas Eve, even though it's like late evening and late afternoon and the street should be full of people?
I didn't remember this.
Yeah.
Well, I didn't remember quite a lot of this episode, to be fair, but everybody in London has gone away for the holidays because they're sick of all the alien invasions.
Yeah. Two consecutive Christmases where horrid things had happened.
That's really, really funny.
Except seemingly for, well, obviously there's lots more people, but the only two that we know have stayed on purpose. The Queen has stayed behind
A match.
in residence at Buckingham Palace to sort of make a point of saying, hey, we shall not be moved, etc. And also, what's he credited as in this?
Will.
Let's have a look. So he's credited as, well, I don't know. Oh, here on Wikipedia it says Wilfred Mott, but he wasn't credited as Wilfred Mott in the episode. He might have been credited as Wilf, maybe, but Bernard Cribbins makes his first appearance in the show as a grouchy newspaper kiosk owner who's selling, like, Union flag and royal merchandise nonsense that you get in London. And he's watching the news on his little telly, and he's saluting to the Queen, and it's just a really charming cameo. It's really sweet, talking about how the aliens aren't going to, mess everything up this year, and then whilst talking to him, they're emergency teleported back up, so he sees the Doctor and Astrid just vanish in front of his eyes. It's just nice, obviously, like, you know, he's flirted with the show over the years, and obviously was in one of the films, and it's like, this is cute. It's Bernard Cribbins. Little did we know at the time that we'd be getting a lot more Bernard Cribbins very soon.
Hooray!
Which we'll talk about in the next video. But it's a nice cameo, and it's nice that it gets the call back later on where he's yelling at the sky on Christmas morning. It's like, how late has he stayed up running his newspaper stand?
Oh yeah, he's buying a newspaper at like 2 in the morning.
But yeah, they get called back up because there's something going on the ship. Let's talk about the ship. We have the captain of the ship, played by Captain Hardaker, who's got an article on Wikipedia. What? Is it? Oh, right, no. The Captain Hardaker, the character.
Oh.
But it's because they expand on it a bit to remind you that his actor, Geoffrey Palmer, had appeared in The Silurians and The Mutants. He's one of those actors who crops up throughout the show's history, and it's cool that he makes a modern era appearance as a character as well. Captain Hardaker of the ship, who basically dismisses everyone from the deck and gets them to, go off and do their thing, except Midshipman Frame, played by the bloody wonderful Russell Tovey, who's like, he's obviously clearly like fresh out of the Space Navy or what have you, and he's like, no, there's always got to be two people. There's always got to be two people on deck, and Captain Hardaker's like, all right, fair enough. And you can even tell in just that moment that he's like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Because he's going to have to spend his time with someone because he's been paid an awful lot of money, or is being paid an awful lot of money, to make sure that the ship crashes into Earth.
Mm-hmm.
Why? Because he's dying, and he's not got long, and the money will go toward his family to keep them looked after he's passed away. Geoffrey Palmer isn't in this a lot, but he makes his scenes count, and the bit where he's confronting Midshipman Frame, like where he holds the gun up to him, you can just see he's keeping as stony-faced as possible, but his eyes are full of tears. Yeah. It's so good, because he makes that point of like the last sort of condition that was not met was he's like, they said that it'd be old men, like people who've been doing this for years, not boys, and you're just like, oh, because he knows he's going to have to murder the hundreds of people on board to do this. And his condition to whoever's paid him to do this, or is going to pay him to do this, was like, no, make sure the crew is people who've had a long, fulfilling life. And he's so annoyed that it isn't the case. Cause, as if that is some comfort for the thing he's about to do. Because, I mean, if you watch this, you've already watched it, so we'll go out of order a little bit. It's I thought it was going to be an insurance scam, and it kind of is.
Kind of, yeah.
But it's more a revenge plan.
Yeah.
Than anything else. Orchestrated by Max Capricorn himself, who is living in the ship. In
like a indestructible box,
yeah, I think sure it's got a name, because it's a great idea. See if it's listed here. But I love that idea. Yeah, it doesn't have it listed here. That it's basically a bunker that so the engines of the Titanic are based on like a nuclear design. So when it hits the Earth, the chain reaction of it is something that would cause, and the size of the engine and everything would cause an explosion that would likely kill all life on the planet.
Yeah. And
Max is doing it on purpose because he's been forced out of his own company, even though he's still like the figurehead. Visually, he's still the figurehead of it. Figurehead. There you go. He's been kicked out of his company, so he wants revenge on everyone else, and he essentially just wants the company to go down without him being around. He'll survive this crash because it's the way you can get away from it all and be distanced. And then he's got people who are going to come pick him up, and he'll carry on living.
Take him off to an island where the ladies like metal.
Metal. It's the most Dr. Evil delivery.
It really is.
He is great, though. He's a great addition.
He's very creepy because, I mean...
Because when we find him... Well, he's creepy, but I think he's creepier as an advert, isn't he?
Oh, God.
Like proper slimy. My name is Max. Ding! And all that stuff. Yeah.
Well, it turns out that he is a part cyborg. Because
Very part cyborg.
He's like
He's been running the company for over 100
years old or something.
Yeah.
And and he has this planet Stowe is quite racist towards cyborgs, so
That's society.
That's why he's like getting chucked out.
Well, it's I don't know if it's the reason why, but it's definitely he'd never be able to run another business again if people saw what he looked like, because he's a head
on wheels.
Yeah, he's over 100 years old. He's now a head in a tank on a tank.
Yeah.
And a hologram is what you see in all the videos running the company and being the face of the company and everything. So it essentially it's a supervillain plot.
Yeah.
Everyone's got to die. The ship's got to be led into the course of the 3 meteors that'll get it when the shields are down and help it crash. And to make sure that there are no survivors, no witnesses, just in case, there's an extra failsafe built in. On board the ship, amongst the human staff and crew, are the robotic assistants, the host. The host are flipping creepy.
Mm-hmm.
They're with the Christmas theming, because we don't know what they look like normally, but I'm assuming this is part of the Christmas theming. They're dressed as angels. They're in white robes, and they've got golden robotic faces that are kind of ventriloquist doll-like with the little shutter mouth. Although they just open it to speak and then close it, which is really creepy. Very robotic. They've got wings, they've got halos, and they start murdering everyone. And there's sort of telltale signs that they've been tampered with earlier on, because they keep going out on the fritz. You know what it reminded me of? The Itchy and Scratchy Land episode of Simpsons. Because they keep being recalled and brought back in to be worked on.
Because doesn't one of them say like, he was altering the necklace on a woman and he nearly
broke her neck. Yeah.
Like, ugh.
I love the design of these guys because it's so reminiscent of the Vok robots from Robots of Death. Like it's at the time when this first went out, I was more annoyed because I was like, evil angels, like 2 stories apart, really? That's a bit weird. But on reflection, I'm like, no, they're the Vok robots dressed up to look Christmassy. Essentially, it's the same sort of thing. But instead of saying, "Please do not throw hands at me," they're saying, "Information. Please do not throw hands at me." I like that quirk. It's nice and creepy.
Yeah, information.
And I like the way the Doctor manages to sort of get around being killed a couple times by taking advantage of the programming and the whole like core directive of like, you know, the inquiry of 3 questions and everything. That's great.
Yeah.
Russell does some really good gymnastics with the dialogue in this, in terms of the Doctor solving the problem with his brain and with his logic. Because, yeah, things go tits up real quick and people start getting beheaded, presumably, by the angels. People who die in the explosion, people get sucked out into the void of space through the open side of the wreckage before the shields are brought back up again.
Because the Doctor's seen that, you know, the shields are down and little tiny pieces of meteor are like coming through the windows.
Yeah. That's great. When Rixton Slade, when he sees it, it's like there's just one tiny smash and the hole's like this big and you're like, oh god.
He's right. And everybody's like panicking. But like a select few go and follow the Doctor.
Yeah.
And excuse me. That's what the angels sound like.
So Mervyn and Foon and Astrid and Mr. Copper and Rixton
and
Bannister are with the Doctor, and they're going to get through. They're going to find a way through. They've got to get from one side of the ship to the other. His original plan is get them to the TARDIS and then like round everyone up on the ship basically and see what he can do until he sees the TARDIS floating in the debris. And then it begins. And I like this idea. He's like, if it's ever left stranded without a pilot, it moves to the nearest centre of gravity. So it's going toward the Earth. So it's clearly going to land somewhere, probably in London, because that's where it knows, and it's just physically going. It's not dematerialising, it's just going whee and doing its thing.
Yeah. That is very clever, to be fair.
But of course, great add into the stakes, because that's like halfway through the episode. It's basically going, oh yeah, no way out. Because this is slightly longer than the previous 2 Christmas specials as well. This is an hour and 15. And it uses that time brilliantly because it goes from being the Titanic to the Poseidon Adventure.
Oh,
really quickly.
That's a scary film.
Stuff we love. I love how grim it is.
Yeah.
Like it's cheesecake on the surface. I mean, the way that Foon and Marvin, the way that Foon and Marvin are dressed, like, you know, they thought it was fancy dress. They were like purple cowboy outfits, and you know, you've got the lady singing the Christmas songs, and then, you know, the customary, as expected, one original song written for the episode, and or, you know, all the sort of the gaucheness of it. The wonderful head of the staff who's being incredibly polite, like he's being the most sort of polite, like deputy manager style role he possibly can be, just trying to keep everybody at ease. Like there's all this, you know, oh, isn't this lovely? Pomp and circumstance and cheese and kitsch, and isn't this nice? And then so many people die in so many horrific ways. Like, it's grim. I love that the three nice people of the group, sorry, the four nice people of the group outside of the Doctor and Mr. Copper, all kick the bucket, leaving the douchebag Rixton Slade to live. No, Astrid dies too.
Oh God!
They all kick the bucket, except for Rixton Slade, who we found out at the beginning of the episode was making calls to like get rid of all of his stock in Max Capricorn's company and put it in his rivals. So the timing of all of this has resulted in him becoming even richer than he already was. And
that's what he says at the end, and it's like, oh God.
It's like he's thanking the Doctor not because he's alive, but because he's now extra rich. It's like, oh, my dude. But I kind of like that because you don't see that. Like, in these things, everyone always gets their comeuppance. And it's like, nah, sometimes the arseholes win. Because we lose Morvin first.
Yeah.
Just in a moment of accident. I love the scene just before that where he finds out that they won the competition, but the amount of money that Foon had spent entering the competition was enough for a ticket anyway. So
it's going to take like 20 years to pay it off.
And he's just wetting himself laughing, and she's so worried that he's going to like be, you know, so mad at her, and it's not. He's just like, oh, he's like, bloody love you, woman, or whatever. It's just like you realise it's like, oh, these two are adorable.
Adorable, yeah.
One of them's gonna die. Yeah, both of them do. Morvin in an accident at the edge of the platform when they have to cross the main engine room to get from port to starboard.
I mean, who designed that, really? Who designed it?
Well, to be fair, there is damage. It's not, you're not meant to cross that room. You're meant to be able to walk around it, but they set up the idea that half of one side of the ship has got that much holes in it now that like the only safe way to get there quick is to go through the middle. But I know what you mean. It's like precarious bridge-like structure. Foon dies she kills herself taking out a heavenly host.
Yeah.
By pulling it down into the engine with her. After that absolutely heartbreaking bit where she keeps saying to herself, it's just the Doctor's like, what am I supposed to do without him? Like, oh, it's hard when she's trying to rationalise that maybe he's okay, maybe he's all right, he's just unconscious down there. Maybe there's an air pocket or something. That's like, no, like, I'm so sorry. Like, you have to mourn after we're out of this. Like, we have to keep going. It's so heartbreaking. It's the fact that she like takes her own life to save them. You know, it's like a mix of an act of heroism, and it's her going, I can't go on without him, so I'm going. Bye. It's just like, oh, it's heartbreaking.
I had to cuddle you, didn't I?
You did. You came over and snuggled. Banakafalata, using his brief charge with his cyborg parts, which he's kept quiet on, the Astrid knows about, to like hit the Heavenly Host with an EMP, which takes them all out in that room so that they can get across.
Yeah. But
his power's way too drained, and they won't be able to, be healed up before they get to a charge station. So he passes away. But then they use his main battery.
Yeah.
Because Mr. Copper's like, if we take it, we can charge it and use it as an EMP attack. Like he might have died, but he's also given us given us all a way to keep each other safe, at least for a while longer.
Yeah.
And it's like, that's a great idea. And then Astrid, she sneaks after the Doctor, which I love. He's going down to the workshop to figure out who's really behind all this on his own. And Astrid's
he tricks
nope.
the hosts into taking him, don't they?
After nearly getting himself killed very quickly with the 3-question limit and going through 2 really quickly by accident.
Because he says, take me to your leader, and he gets...
Oh, do I just say... I mean, you said it 2 series ago, mate. Yeah, he did, and he says it in Dalek. In the museum, where they're in the exhibit and all the soldiers show up and everything. He's like, take me to your leader. And it's like, oh, alright, there you go. He's always wanted to say it, apparently. Maybe he's always wanted to say it with these lips.
Oh, you mean the Eccleston said it? Oh, I see.
Oh, aye. The Doctor. The one, the only, and the best. That's next Christmas. We lose Astrid because she sneaks down. She uses the forklift in the workshop to ram Max Capricorn into the engine. Although it's really lazy the way they do it's not lazy, but it's just a bit far-fetched. The Angel throws a halo at her to try and stop her, and it ricochets off the same thing. And there's an 80-yard line from the Doctor where he's like, "They've got the brake line!" It's like,
She could have jumped out of it.
Yeah, but also I think it's more about the momentum. If they could have sold the idea that she was ramming him, and it was about she had to pick up that speed. Do you know what I mean? If they sold that idea, then you would go, she has to stay in the forklift to shove him off the edge and kill him. But instead it's just wait, so what? She was going to drive him off the edge and then maybe brake and climb out? Even though, you need to use the vehicle to push him off the edge anyway. The brake line thing just seemed a bit daft to me. The brake line, it just felt very much we need to pick it up.
Maybe they did it and were like, oh no, people might not understand what happened.
No. You just need to show one shot. The Angel's thing hitting the side of the forklift, you just need to show one close-up of the black cable split and maybe some oil coming out or whatever.
Yeah.
Because the editing of this episode is great, but that bit just feels very choppy. And what follows that bit is my one genuine least favourite moment of the episode, which is the Doctor mourns that Astrid dies. He's reacting to her dying, and then he stands there all Jesus-like and clicks his fingers as 2 angels carry him to the heavens, and the music swells. It's just what is this? What is this? Now, you could argue, thematically, it's the beginning of his self-imposed self-importance, his own aggrandization. This might be the beginning of it, but it just seems like an odd place to start it.
Yeah. The
lady he quite likes has died, so now he's I'm Jesus.
But he does that.
I haven't been a messiah for years.
He does it to crash into the
into the deck. The deck?
No, the engine. No.
No.
The driver's seat. No.
Bridge.
Bridge. That's it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Where Midshipman Frame's been keeping an eye on things as best he can and helping them reroute power, despite dealing with a gunshot wound from the captain.
And he's had to lock himself in there.
Yes, he did triple deadlock.
Away from the host, so there's no way he could get out.
Yeah, so the angels fly up through the floor and smash through it. So
Jesus Doctor and, or Dr. Jesus, as we should call him from now on, crash through the floor, and and he's like, hey, let's go.
Come on! And he's been whipping out Alonzi quite a lot during this, and that's when he just randomly asks Midshipman Frame what his first name is, and he's like, oh, Alonzo. A callback to the thing from Series 2. He's like, imagine if I make someone called Alonzo, I can say Alonzo. It's that's cute. So he gets to say Alonzo. As the ship's crashing toward Earth, and he steers it last minute to the second thing I think is really annoying. I like the idea that the ship's going to hit London and ironically it's going to fall on Buckingham Palace. I think that pays off the joke set up earlier that Her Majesty stayed here because she wants to show everyone it's safe. But it's the fact that, and I don't mind the bit of the Queen in her pyjamas with a couple of corgis tucked under her arm is being run around by security to get her out of there. Yeah. That's cute.
Yeah.
it as a little joke of like, oh god, look, they're trying to get the Queen out. That's funny. It's the thank you, Doctor. I hate that. Why would she know who he is? Well, she's the Queen, right? And if that's the case, based on what you've shown us, her family should hate him. They set up an institute to have him murdered or imprisoned. So, what are you talking about? I wouldn't care if she was just waving, or if she just said Merry Christmas. That'd be cheesy.
Happy Christmas.
Happy Christmas. That'd be cheesy, but it'd be. Apologies, the future. It's May as we're recording this. If Her Majesty has passed on since now, we're not taking the pish. We're just quoting this Christmas special.
Yes.
Cool. So, when the daft old bugger's running around going, Happy Christmas, Doctor! Yeah, it's weird. It's a little... This begins with cheese. This episode begins with cheese, and then it goes to some wonderfully dark places, and then it delivers 2 random big bouts of cheese at the end that just don't feel right. They feel very jarring.
It's some cheese topped with cheese.
Yeah. That sounds amazing.
Cheese.
So it's assumed that if they don't... Oh, yeah, I was going to say, they managed to get the Titanic back into the air long enough for like, emergency services are going to come and collect them from Stowe and figure it all out. And we learn about the teleporters. Like, in case of emergency, they sort of back up your atomic structure at the moment of teleporting.
Yeah.
So that if there were an accident with the customer wouldn't die because they could just very quickly reset them like to a few moments before, and then they're still there.
That's crazy.
So when the Doctor learns about Astrid obviously teleporting herself down to help him in the Area 31, he tries to bring her back, but everything's damaged, and I mean she died in like the heart of a nuclear engine, so it was never going to be smooth. And it's sort of like it's her, and she's not really aware of him until they share the kiss. But like it's her sort of saved in the moments before the impact in the engine.
Yeah, because she thinks she's still falling.
Yeah, and it's like, oh, it's so freaking sad.
It is sad.
So considering like the alternative now is you just turn that machine off and she disappears and doesn't exist anymore, he instead sort of sends her atoms out into the stars. So she can explode. It's not like she's a cloud going around going, whee! Although they sort of imply that at the end because Christmas telly. But I like it's kind of like it's very poignant. It's like he's essentially spreading her ashes in the place where she would have wanted that to be, like in outer space, exploring, going beyond Stowe, and So it's sweet, and with it goes the chance of her making a reappearance, which sucks. Because she's a lovely character, their chemistry is really bloody good.
Yeah. I forgot Kylie was an actress first.
Yeah, it's all because it was always treated as an event. Whenever she pops back into something, it's always treated as like oh my god, and starring Kylie Minogue. It's like she's probably like
she's really good at it. It's like
and she's probably like, guys, this is literally what I do. Like, calm down. Banger of a musician, obviously. Like really, like there's a reason why she's like Queen of Pop. Because her stuff is just, it's timeless.
I can't think of any of her songs.
Before I was going to make a Max Capricorn joke to Can't Get You Out of My Head, but I chose not to.
Which one's that?
I just can't get you out of my head. That's a Kylie song. Great. Test of time.
What's the other one?
Do you know that tangent thing we keep going off on?
Yeah. I can't think of anything she's made.
Max. Headroom. She didn't make him. Max with his head. And then the nice little coda where everything's crap, and the Doctor sneaks Mr. Copper off before like the authorities of Stowe can kind of find him and rumble him. What? You just remembered his dance in the little field?
No, just the sentence sounded
sneaks
really...
Mr. Copper off.
It just sounds really rude. Sorry. I'm sorry.
But yeah, so... we get one last scene of David Tennant and Clive Swift where he takes him to Earth and it's snowing, but in the tradition of these Christmas specials so far, it isn't actually snow.
It's bits of the ship.
And it's like, that's quite funny. And then he's like, Mr. Copper's like, what am I going to do? And he's like, well, how much have you got on that credit card? Because he has a credit card with Earth currency preloaded onto it in case any of the group wanted to buy a trinket as a souvenir. And it's got £5 million on it.
No, it's got
£1 million on it. It's equivalent to 5 million
credits.
5 million and like 56 credits or something like that. It's like, what? Which Mr. Copper didn't realise was so large an amount. So, because obviously all of his study's been that crap. Like, the people at this time of year will worship the god Santa Claus. Santa, who has these fearsome claws and
they fight Turkey.
Yeah, they fight the people of Turkey and eat them. And we have to get out of here because any day now they start boxing, and it's great.
Celebrate Christmas.
The god Santa and his wife Mary. It's like, what? But so he's got £1 million, and I love the way that the doctor, he sort of sees like, I should really take him somewhere else. He just goes, oh, right, go for it. Lay low. Please do not draw attention to yourself.
So I'm just going to skip through this field.
Rambling. And he says, like, just have a really good life. He's just like, go out there and have a great remainder of your life.
Yeah, because he used to be a salesman, didn't he? So he feels like he wasted his life.
And he'd never made any money, and he was just waiting for the day he'd be rumbled.
And he's excited to have a house with doors and windows.
Yeah, it's cute.
And a kitchen.
Clyde Swift was an odd gentleman, but he really sells this part, and it's really sweet. I wonder if we'll ever find out what became of Mr. Copper and his money. Yeah, we'll see it in about 5 videos' time. I really like Voyage of the Damned.
Me too.
I love it a lot. I didn't when it initially went out. I thought it was fine, but it's really grown into one of my favourites of the Christmas specials. And one of my favourite 10th Doctor stories as well. Yeah, it's just jovial and horrible at the same time in a perfect measure. It feels like a Tom story.
It does, rather.
It feels like we're watching a Tom Baker story. And maybe that's just because it's got elements of Tom's stuff. Like it's literally one MacGuffin search away from feeling like one of the Key to Time stories or something like that. Do you know what I mean? Like it feels like if the Doctor was also, whilst he's doing this, is looking for a piece for the Key to Time in one of the rooms.
Yeah.
Or something like that. This would fit right into a season like that. Mm-hmm. Tennant is absolutely the Doctor by this point. Like, he has been for the last 2 series, obviously, but like, this is the second but first sort of solo adventure with him where it's like, we know that it's just it's a him adventure now. Mm-hmm. And he's great. He's so good, and this story's so good, and I really like it, and I hope you all liked it too. What are your thoughts on Voyage of the Damned? Let us know down below in the comments. We'll be back very soon with Series 4 and a few other treats. We hope you are enjoying these videos, and we hope whatever the hell's going on in the future, if there is a future, that you're having a very Merry Christmas over there.
A nice time.
Happy Christmas. Merry Chrysler.
Merry Chrysler.
Have a bit of Gelf.
Oh, Merry Christmas.
Oh, Christmas
Bye.
Gelf.